Well, hello Internet, this is Tal from talrig.com, and today I'm going to show you how to create a Qt application using the Netbeans IDE. We are working under the Ubuntu operating system, and although Qt is available for both Mac and Windows as well, usually I'm using Qt only to create Ubuntu application because both Windows and the Mac have their own windowing system. So, all the resources for this video are available in the link below. And B, Netbeans IDE currently support only Qt version 4. If you have Qt version 5, Netbeans might not be able to support it, at least this version of Netbeans, which is 7.31. So, let's just start by creating a new project, a new C++ project. We are going to use C++ Qt application. Just click next. Let's call it Qt editor and click finish. And we have the resource, we have the main file, and in order to see that everything is configured correctly, we're going to just click the build button and everything's working just fine. Now at this stage you might encounter with some error, usually something about the make or QMake is not be able to find some library, usually Q application, which is the only library that we are currently using. That usually means that you miss something in your apt-get installation, and if you need any help, just click the link below, as I mentioned, with all the resources. But for now, let's assume that everything is working correctly. We don't need the remark above this line. And we're going to create a Qt form, which is the main window for our application. And I like to create those here in the resource file folder. So I'm going to create new Qt form. It's going to be our main window, so I'm going to call it main editor form. And it's going to be created here, and programming Qt editor main editor form.ui. And you see that something widget. We have a Ivar name widget here, and we'll touch this in a quick second. But now we need to design everything, and I'm going here to my Qt designer, which I have already opened. I'm going to click here open, going to programming, going to Qt editor and main editor form.ui, separator, save as, another separator, and exit another. So go back here, Qt editor, go code assistant, and we have to rephrase the project. Okay, now if we're going to run it, we are not going to see anything. Just to make a point, let me show you. So yes, nothing is happening, so I'm going to close it. Going to close all the tabs of the output. Now it says create and show you widgets here, so this is what we should do. So I'm going to use the main something, main editor form, and I'm going to call the show method. Now the main file won't be having a lot of code, obviously, because we probably need only to create the main window and to show it. And that's it. Here the file, open, save as, and exit. Obviously the menus and the menu item doesn't do much, but you can see them and you can see the windows, and it's quite cool given the fact that we have written almost no code at all. So we obviously need them to do something. So let's go back to the designer. And first thing is first, everything is happening here. Here is where we are binding the sender, which is the Q object, the menu, the button, the window itself, whatever. We bind one of his signals, which is trigger, close, something that happens. And then we bind it to a receiver, which is another Q object. And the receiver have a slot, which is a function that is made in order to handle this event. So to make things simple, let's say we have the sender, which is file exit, the action exit. You can, by the way, change those. For example, if you click here, see exit, and the object name is action exit. And we can call it anything that you like, but action exit is pretty cool. So we have action exit, and the signal is going to be triggered. Why triggered? This is what happened when we click on the action exit. Receiver will be main editor form, which is this entire window, and the slot is the handling function. Now we haven't written anything yet. However, every Q object, well, every Q object that derive from the eventing class, but every Q window, if you like, have some built-in function, and one of them is close. So we'd like to close this when the user click on the action exit, and we are going to save it, and we're going to back to Netbeans IDE. Now we're going to run it, and whenever we're going to click file exit, that's just it. The application just exit, and we haven't written a line of code in order to do this. Now, in order to open a file, we have to write a little bit of code. I mean, what can you do? There is only a certain thing that we can achieve without writing any code. So let's do that. And first of all, you need to go to the Qt environment, and we're going to have the open. We're going to create sender, which is going to be open, and the only thing that we don't have is a slot, because obviously the creator of Qt, smart as they might be, couldn't conceive of all the options out there. So we need to create a slot, and that's pretty easy process. We just go to the main form, and we have change signal slots, and signals are basically event that this controller emits, and slots are function calls that are available for any signal emitting Q object. So we're going to add some. As long as we're here, we're going to add more than one. So we're going to have on file open, and on file save. You know what? I'm going to change this a little bit. I don't want a capital O over there. Just used to it. Of course, you can do whatever you like. On file save as, and on file exit. Now we have used the exit or the close function that's available from this class. The reason that we want to have on file exit is, for example, if the user had created the document and he just clicked the exit, you probably don't want to exit right away. You might want to show them a message, would you like to save your document or not? So this is why we're going to create it. But you are the ones going to implement it. So I'm going to leave you with a little bit of homework, and hopefully you're going to be up for this task. So just clicking OK, and file open. If we click here, we see that's no surprises here. It's called action open, and we're going to create a new one, sender, which is going to be action open, and obviously when it's triggered, and it's going to main edit form, and look, now we have all the slots that we just created on file open. And as you can probably guess, we have no function like this. So if we're going to run it, we're going to encounter with a warning that the application is not going to crash, but it's not going to do much as well. So see that? No such slot on file open, and it's actually quite right. We do not have such slot, and send the name, and it shows us all the wrong thing that we did to it. And if you wonder about the other thing why it doesn't show, but the fact that we don't have on file save as, and exit is because we haven't used them yet. So this is the reason. So we go back to the Qt designer because we don't have any ability to display or edit the text. So we need some text widget. I'm going to use the plain text edit. I'm just going to drop one on the window, and as you can see, it's a little bit small. And the secret is to use layout. And if you're using, if you have a program for Android, this should be pretty easy for you. So I'm going to say lay it out in a grid. which mean I can put things in rows and columns. So this would be the single row, and it's the biggest because here is the status bar and is the menu bar, and this is the only row basically. So it's going to occupy all the free space that is not occupied by the menu or the status bar. And now I have a simple text edit, and Qt actually called it plain text edit, and this is its name. By the way, this is its name. We can obviously name it any legal name that we like, but I'm going to leave it at the default plain text edit. And let's go to the main editor form here, main editor form.cpp, and we go to the edge file, and we need to define those slots that we talked about. So in order to define slots, they have to be private, which is pretty good, and we have to use the slots macro, and you see that Netbeans is identifying this macro, and all the events called are void, and we have on file open. And going back to the CPP file again, void. Let Netbeans do its magic. File open, and that's it. Now it's not going to complain. It's not going to do anything, but at least it's not going to complain. You see, we have a clean sheet over here, and we have file, and I have open. Obviously, nothing's going to happen, but at least we have something. So on file open, we need to create. Well, we actually need to go and open a file in order to present it in the editor box. And to do that, we need to use some additional headers. And I'm going to use. First of all, we need. This is a GUI application, so we probably need a dialog. So I'm going to use the Qt. It's under the Qt GUI and Q file dialog, and I'm going to inform the users of any wrong thing that might happen or any wrong that they might have caused by using the Qt GUI Q dialog. That's the one. Now I'm going to use some additional fields as well. That's about it. And we're also going to be using the standard unique PTR. I like to use this PTR. So on file open, first of all, we need to create a dialog box, and we need to show it. So the simplest way is to just create a Q string and get open file name, and if we got nothing, that means that we have nothing. The user probably canceled on us, and now that we have file name, I'm going to try to open it with Linux native command, which is open. I'm going to open it as read only for now, and max size is something that we haven't defined, but I'm going to define it right now. I'm going to define it as 500, just flat thing, and we have the message box here. Q message box again, I'm going to call a static member function, which is going to show an error that we cannot open this file if the file descriptor is faulty, or if it's too big, I'm going to show a message that this file is too big for this editor. So that's about it. And if everything is right, what we're going to do is create a buffer, and you're going to use the unique PTR class, the template class. So we're going to create a char buffer, and I'm going to call it a file buffer on the size, which is going to be 500, a little bit less than 500 KB. And then we're going to read, close, and show everything. So I'm going to read from FD, and going to read the file buffer, going to read the whole thing. We want to close the file, and we're going to just do the widget, and we have the plain text, and we're going to set plain text to the file buffer get, give us the internal buffer. And that's, by the way, when we are finishing this function, the unique buffer is going to be terminated automatically. This is why I like it so much. And that's it. Let's see if we can just open. Sorry, Q message box has not been declared. It seems that yes, that is correct. Damn it. Q message box. Sorry about that. And okay, now it's working. And I'm going to file. Oops, save is not going to. Damn it. Okay, here. Let's use the old screen. Open and open this file, and heck, we have everything. That's basically the file that created this file. So we can open other stuff as well. Let's go to I don't know what, videos, and open the Google Keynote, and it say obviously that this file is too big for this editor, which I usually recommend because you don't want to open 300 megs file in a text editor, and if you do, you might want to stream it. You will open 5Ks at a time, and you need to implement some kind of scrolling mechanism. And if you minimize or change the size, you can see that now we have a scrolling here. So I'm going to close it, and we have on file open. So the rest of the tutorial is homework. You need to create on file save, and in order to do so, you can use the Linux file save, which is quite similar, and you might want to change this from open read only to open read write, just here. And what are the tips that I can give you in order to create save as? You might want to go here and just create a boolean that says that somebody has changed the text, and if the text was changed, then we need to call the on save as and let the user know that hey, before you're exiting, we need to do something. And you can use this message box in order to do so. So let me just show you how can you use the message box, because here we're just using static functions. So in order for you to create a message box and not using the static function, that this is what I'm doing right here, I'm going to create a new menu. Let's call it test view. You can obviously delete it later on. Test, and let's say message box. Okay. And we need to create a signal and slot for it. So let's go slot. Just create a new one on message box. Okay, here this one, and we're going here. Action message box is triggered. Receiver is this, and on message box, that's great. Go here, just create a function void on message box. Same thing here. So here we're using Q message box static function, but in order to show more options and to get a return value, we need a little bit more flexibility. So we're going to create Q message box, call it message, and message is going to have so we're going to create a message box, and we're going to have it set text test 1 2 3. I'm going to have it as standard buttons, which is going to be Q message box save and Q message box cancel, and we're going to have int ret equal message exec, and then we can obviously switch ret in order to see what the user has pressed. So we can see if it's save or cancel, and there are a lot of other options. I'm going to let's run it, and let's go test message box, and we have cancel and save. So this is the message box that you would like to show for the user when they're exiting the application, or when they click in save and save as and so forth. So basically I gave you all that you need in order to do your homework, and any kind of remarks, please leave them below, and that's all.